Welcome back to the program. Now, the European Union says it will not honor the invitation to meddle in the recent developments in Ghana's political landscape. The opposition National Democratic Congress, after the 2020 presidential elections, has been mounting pressure on the international community to address the concerns over the posture of the Electoral Commission. An additional petition was also sent to the Commonwealth with claims that NDC members are being witch-hunted by government. However, the head of the EU mission, Irchad Razaaly, told me it will be surprising to ask external actors to meddle into the political deadlock here in Nkrumah's Ghana. Well, it's been less than a year since he began his tour of duty. I first of all caught up with him and asked him how he's been treated so far here in Ghana.
The welcoming has been really great. People are warm, friendly, open. The country itself, you know it better than me, is a beautiful country, has a lot to offer, so I have absolutely no complaints so far. On the contrary, I was happy to crisscross the country from central region to Kumasi to western region. Have to confess I've made a short incursion in the Volta region last week, and I would like to discover more. I've been as well in some of the northern provinces. So.
Right. So it's a good time for you.
Very good.
Did we meet your expectation, or are you expecting much more?
Oh, you should not have any expectations in order not to be surprised or not to be disappointed. But the time is really, really good. Once again, great people, great country, great assignment. And I'm particularly happy and honored to serve in this country, which is a key partner. Stable, democratic, trustworthy partner to the EU, especially in West Africa, and this makes a lot of the, I would say, the excitement.
Right, interesting. And many would say that if you talk about the European Union and its partners across the world, Africa remains a key partner, and that obviously includes nations like Ghana. We know that the relations has dated over 4 decades, I should say. The dynamics at the time it was starting are not necessarily the same as we have it now. But what's your assessment of the status of the EU-Ghana relations?
The relation between the European Union and Ghana have been improving over the years, and just as key indicators, in the last year or in the last 18 months, the President Akufo-Addo visited Europe, the European Union as such, not only European member states, 4 times. We had lately a high-level visit from the Commissioner in charge of international partnership. It was just a few weeks ago, and these are key indicators of the, I would say, the solidity of the link. The other indication is the very good match between the priorities we are supporting together, Ghana and the European Union, in terms of upcoming programs. These are key engagement in terms of job and growth support, stimulation, support what we call smart cities, and when it comes as well to governance and security. And these are joint, I would say, priorities, jointly identified by Ghana and European together for the years to come.
And for some experts, if there's anything reinforcing the need for partnership between the EU and Ghana, obviously we cannot shy away from the subject matter of COVID-19. The pandemic has actually ravaged not just European economies, but also here in Ghana as well. We are feeling the effect of the virus. In what ways has the European Union helped nations across Africa, and including Ghana, to battle this pandemic?
The European Union has been the worldwide first partner to support access to vaccines, actually. And Ghana was the first country worldwide benefiting from vaccine shipped by the so-called COVID initiative funded by the European Union. And beyond the vaccines, the European Union is currently supporting the Ghanaian administration, the Food and Drug Administration, to build a facility to produce vaccines on the very soil of Ghana, which is very important, which makes a key, I would say, contribution for this partnership, because this will be only a handful of countries like Senegal, Rwanda, and now Ghana, who will be part of this program. But to come back to the other intervention of the European Union to weather the consequences of COVID, last year only, we have disbursed 87 million euro to the Ghanaian government in order to address the socio-economic consequences of the COVID. And lately this year, we have mobilized 82 million euros on top of that to reinforce the health sector. And now, as I said, we are supporting the country to host and to develop vaccine facility. Not only for COVID as well, but for other diseases.
Right. But you agree that it's not been a smooth journey getting to the point of vaccine equality. Sadly, experts say that in spite of these interventions that we're seeing, there's that great divide where the global north, the more industrialized nations across the world have access to more vaccines than developing countries such as Ghana. For instance, Oxfam is reporting that Europe, for instance, has had to bin some 50 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines, which is far more in excess than what you've given to countries such as Ghana. Why is the EU not willing to save the world when it has a beautiful opportunity to do so?
I'm a bit surprised by what you have been saying, because this is exactly the opposite. Ghana was the first country worldwide to benefit from vaccines funded by the European Union, first. And secondly, Ghana is one of the very few African countries which will be producing its own vaccines. So when you are raising this issue of lack of vaccines to vaccines, this is absolutely irrelevant.
It's an issue of equality, I guess. The question has always been about equality. There are even challenges of waiving, for instance, the issues of intellectual property rights over the production of the vaccine itself. These are issues that confront the EU today. How are you addressing it? I guess it feeds into the conversation of equality across the world in terms of access to vaccines.
Yes, equality across the world, there are challenges on all fronts, not only on vaccines. So, on vaccines, as it was an acute crisis, we have done the utmost to narrow the gap. And as I say, you can check how many countries will be able to produce vaccines worldwide. And Ghana will be at the forefront because of the EU commitment to support the Ghanaian request.
But will that be enough for Africa, I guess?
That's the idea. That's the idea. And not only for Africa.
But the question about waiving the intellectual property of other vaccines, you have not dealt with that as the EU, have you?
No, we have dealt with that. This is an issue for the WTO, the World Trade Organization, because this is linked to international intellectual property. But this is another conversation. You cannot just force businesses to waiver the rights on vaccines or any other, I would say, product. But this conversation is in one track. The other conversation that we have is how to ship vaccines and how to produce vaccines.
And the whole issue of the pandemic is also having effects on our economy, for instance. Here we are, Ghana is grappling to meet its revenue targets, and there's the call by some experts that we need to look elsewhere, look up to the West for support. Is the EU willing to extend that help to Ghana in these very trying times?
This is what I've said in introduction. We have disbursed 87 million euro grant last year, precisely for that. And we have disbursed 82 million euro, this is loan to support the health sector. But beyond that, what we are doing is to support the government on its all priority areas when it comes to one district, one factory, planting for food and job, one dam, one district, and we are supporting all these key areas because these are areas that will make a difference for the very life of every people beyond macroeconomics. So this is where we are focusing our efforts, and we hope to gain traction and get impact on the ground, because this, once again, a joint undertaking between the European Union and Ghana.
And since you're making some strides in that, some say what may revet or I mean thwart your efforts would be what's happening on the global front, the Russian-Ukraine war. It's beginning to have impact on not just European economies but also countries here in Africa. We've had our Vice President, for instance, talk about the fact that what's happening between Ukraine and Russia is beginning to have a toll on African countries. Given the fact that it's affecting economies such as Ghana, what is the EU willing to do to mediate, if possible, if that's possible, the conflict, and also extending some form of assistance to African nations such as Ghana?
Firstly, the situation, it's not a situation, it's an aggression and invasion conducted by Russia against a sovereign country, Ukraine, and we are in it all together. There are economic consequences in Europe, there are economic consequences in the American continent, in the African continent as well, in the Asian continent. So we have to face it all together. Firstly, on the diplomatic and political side, we have been together with the Ghanaian authorities and the majority of African countries to condemn the invasion and the aggression from Russia on Ukraine, the very day of the aggression. This is point number one. Point number two, as you mentioned, the magnitude of the economic crisis, which affects, I would say, all the world, is now currently discussed in order to address and to make, I would say, extra effort. So there are discussions conducted with the IMF, with the World Bank, with the G20, the G7, in order to, once again, maybe expand the extraordinary effort which has already been made for COVID times. Okay, COVID times called for already extraordinary effort when it comes to debt issues, when it comes to economic stimulation. So these schemes are now, I would say, assessed in order to see to what extent they can be expanded, prolonged, in order to address the current situation.
But the fear is it may change the priority of Europe towards Africa.
Absolutely not. This is far-fetched. Absolutely not. This is the reason why the commissioner in charge of international partnership came to Ghana and other African countries, even though the priority of the day was and is very much Ukraine for obvious geopolitical reasons. But even that, you know, the financial envelope for Ghana and the African countries has not decreased. The political attention has not decreased, on the contrary, and so you have absolutely no indication that there is, I would say, a shift of attention, investment, and I would say a priority when it comes to Africa. Geography and history is stubborn, so there are only 14 kilometers between Europe and Africa, so this was there 1,000 years ago, this will be there tomorrow. This is the case today. So
and some say that what we're seeing in the world now is a case or a test case for democracy. That's what the European Union has always stood for, the fact that there's a need for a free world, a free society, and the respect for human rights and all of that across the world. But if you even move away from the Russian-Ukrainian war, here in our part of the world as well, democracy appears to be taking a backseat, which is also going contrary to the ideals that the EU has on democracy. You look at West Africa, for instance, there's a growing trend of military takeovers and instability across the region. The fear is some burgeoning democracies such as Ghana may be affected as a result of the wave we're experiencing in West Africa. Is the EU concerned about what's happening in the sub-region?
We are concerned in what's happening in the sub-region, in West Africa, which I want to remind you was for long the most advanced region when it comes to democracy in Africa. Between the years 2000 to 2020, it was the most advanced. This is the only region which has a protocol on democracy and on governance. So this is important to remind, and as you've mentioned, there are currently some situations and setbacks that are dealt with primarily by ECOWAS, with Ghana at its helm. And there, I have to say that we are supporting Ghanaian efforts 100%, because, as you said, Ghana is a truly democratic, stable country which shares our concern when it comes to the global order. What are we standing for? We are standing for democratic values.
Right.
We are standing for cooperation. This is the very idea of the European Union.
Right.
And we stand for rule-based international order at multilateral level, like Ghana. As you know, Ghana is sitting currently in the UN Security Council,
Right.
and these are very values that we are sharing between Ghana and European Union. Of course, we have concerns when it comes to some situation in the region, but we are, I would say, working side by side to.
But what's your diagnosis of the problem, really, of why democracy appears to be taking a back seat? Not just even in West Africa, here in Ghana as well. Some professors, very learned people, have expressed the fear that there may be a military takeover. What do you see as that basic problem affecting all of these African countries, including Ghana?
I'm not really sure about what you are referring to when it comes to Ghana, really. The elections in 2020 were taken their course, were recognized internationally, open, fair and democratic. The life in the parliament keeps us, I would say, entertained to some extent, because this is a vivid expression of democracy. There is real debate, people agree, people disagree. This is the indication of vivid democracy.
But the spectacle hasn't been amazing, you agree?
In
you
a
brawl, for instance, in Ghana's parliament.
In an authoritarian state, there will not be any debate, no disagreement. And this is not what I'm seeing in Ghana, for example. Okay, so I don't share your statement or your assessment that there are, I would say, a setback when it comes to Ghana. When it comes to the other countries, you know, there are military people who believe they can do better than the elected people. This is unfortunate, this is what they feel, and this is the reason why we, the European Union, together with ECOWAS, chaired by Ghana, are trying to find solutions. Okay,
but I was just talking about, for instance, our Ghanaian parliament. You've witnessed a rather unfortunate spectacle. The EU MPs don't fight, for instance, in the chambers, but we're having such incidents happen here in Ghana. For instance, Professor Atugba, one of the renowned lawyers here in the country, is also warning that if our political leaders do not change the trajectory, then we are in for
this is his statement, and this is
very worst times in terms of
this is his statement, and this is his assessment. It's not mine, and it's not the European Union's statement as assessment. I can tell you that discussion in parliaments in European countries can be really heated and vivid. I can tell you that when minority or majority parties are tabling bills which most of the time could be contentious, because this is as well the life of parliament. This is debated, this is heated, and then this landing. Okay, so I think this is all part of a democratic life.
So you don't feel our democracy is at the verge or the brink of collapse?
Absolutely not.
Right. Let's talk about the 2020 elections, for instance. Your election observer mission was here in the country. You pointed out that there was abuse of state resources in the lead up to the elections, for instance. Many say some of these activities is making the youth despondent. The fact that they don't have any hope in their government, the fact that they don't believe that their governments will be able to change the course of the country. Is that the same feeling that you have sitting and looking through all these reports that have come to your table?
We have sent in 2020 an independent observation mission led by members of parliament, because some of them are engaging into that area of external action. And the main finding is that the elections were open, transparent and democratic. And of course, here and there are rooms for improvement. We have made recommendations. Main recommendations are linked to the funding of the political campaign, for example, but This is an area where we can make improvement in many places in the world, including in Europe, in Northern America, and so on. And the most important part is that, as I said, the recommendations are for the Ghanaian government and institutions to consider. It's not the European Union saying you have to do that, but they say on this occasion or on this, I would say, situation, maybe something else could have been envisaged. So by and large, once again, the elections were open, transparent and democratic.
Should we be looking at term limits? But the basis is, well, it's not as entrenched, and the fear is that, and we've even heard from our president, for instance, say that should be taken to the sub-regional level where you have inter-governmental organizations such as ECOWAS and all of that, making that as part of international law where every country must respect term limits, and that's the basis from which
But this is what I've been referring to in introduction, the ECOWAS region, which is the most integrated region in Africa, was, and to some extent still is, one of the most advanced regions when it comes to democracy and when it comes to institutional framework. And this protocol on good governance and democracy, which has been worked on in order to renew it because it's 20 years now, has got this indication of terms limit. So we are already there.
But we know that obviously what's the integral part of democracy has got to do with human rights. The EU has also been monitoring that aspect of our national development. You point out, for instance, in some of the reports that you've issued on human rights here in Ghana, that issues of the rights of women and children still remains a big challenge for our country, a challenge that our authorities need to deal with. How do we have to go about this, and what do you feel should be the priority in terms of the approach to tackling this challenge of inequalities which still exist within our community?
The European Union and Ghana share those values and cherish them very much, meaning respect for human dignity, equality between men and women, socio-economic inclusion, open debate, solid democratic institutions, so on and so forth. This is the reason why these values, which are the bedrock of the European Union project, are now to be celebrated, as we have 65 years, like Ghana, 65 years of a European project behind us. We will be celebrating the 9th of May, what we call the Schuman Declaration. What is it about? 5 years after the Second World War, the most horrific war in the modern history, the French Minister of Foreign Affairs proposed his German counterpart to put together the resources when it comes to coal and steel. Coal and steel were meant to build arms. So the very idea is to build a de facto solidarity, as Robert Schuman called it, in order to make it impossible for one or the other former belligerent to build arms in the back of the other. On the contrary, they should pull together their industries to rebuild. Why am I saying so? Because this is at the very idea of cooperation, and when you add that to human rights, democracy, willingness to ensure cooperation, and a rule-based international order, these were the values which made it impossible or unthinkable that members of the European Union go to war against each other. And this is where we are 65 years down the line.
And we'll be talking about your decision to mark that, a week-long program. We'll talk about some of the events that are scheduled to happen and what Ghanaians and also the rest of the world could learn from the EU. But then, just as you're saying, it's all in line with the issue of human rights. Press freedom is also at the core of this. just recently, well, it's not necessarily Europe, but some other members of the international community raised concerns about the continuous attack on journalists here in our country. You've also pointed out that in some of the reports that you've issued on human rights here in our country. Do you feel, or are you getting the sense, is the international community getting the sense that press freedom is not being guaranteed here in Ghana?
Press freedom is a key value for democracy worldwide. This is the case as well in Ghana. And for our case, we have followed with great interest and great care the follow-up to this case, because this was an important development. And last year, or this year, the government has adopted a right to information legislation, which only reinforces the press freedom, and we are supporting that very much, and we are welcoming that very much. So, as we've said, freedom, expression, journalism are key values, key capital to nurture. We have to do it together. You have your role to do that. We have our assessment, but the key actors are the Ghanaian institutions.
Already the international ratings are not giving us a good picture in terms of how we're performing when it comes to guaranteeing the safety of journalists. Do you feel that this is an area we should improve on?
No, this is part of the many responsibilities of the Ghanaian authorities, the Ghanaian journalists, the Ghanaian watchdogs, and other people who are looking after this area. Yes.
The opposition political party here in Ghana feels that there's a culture of silence which is creeping into our society, and there would be a need for the international community to intervene and to help deal with the issues. They've, for instance, roped in the courts, claiming that it's not as independent as it should be. Is the EU concerned about this? Have you received the reports, and what are you likely to do to mediate and to ensure that there is peace in this country?
What we are likely to do is absolutely not meddling into that development, because this is the responsibility of the Ghanaian authorities, and as far as I'm concerned, there is no civil war in Ghana. So there is absolutely no reason for us to, impose ourselves into a situation. There is rule of law, there are watchdog bodies, there is an independent justice, and everybody is in a position to make its claim and to get justice served. So I would like to challenge the very idea that we would have a responsibility, or we would have a role to play in order to make things right into the Ghanaian landscape.
But the fear is we've exhausted all internal mechanisms, and that's why the main opposition political party is raising such concerns. Don't you feel that you're lukewarm about this? There's a need, at least, to have some influence to try and coming and try and ensure that
I'm very surprised that in 2022, in the very country of Nkrumah, you are asking for external actors to have an influence on Ghana. Is it what you are saying? Are you calling external actors to have an influence over Ghanaian government or Ghanaian country?
This is what mediation is what we need. I
don't believe this is a serious discussion. I don't believe this is a serious discussion.
They wouldn't have resorted to the international community.
No. I don't believe in international intervention into a sovereign country's affair.
The fear is we may go the path of other countries in the sub-region if you don't come in to at least speak to all the powers that be.
We'll see how it develops, but I don't believe this is the direction that discussion will go.
Okay then. Obviously we have a beautiful opportunity as a country to learn from the EU during your Europe Week. It's starting from the 2nd of May. What activities will you be rolling out, and why should not just Europeans but Ghanaians also be very much interested in this celebration?
The celebration is not about EU teaching anything to Ghana, as you are implying, or EU intervening in Ghana, as you are calling for, but celebrating 65 years of friendship because Ghana acceded to independence in '57, European Union has been created in '57, and this is a great match because since the very beginning the European Union has been siding with Ghana for its development, consolidation of its democracy, reinforcing its regional stance and creating opportunities for its youth. So this is what we will be celebrating during the Europe Week, or maybe it will last more than 1 week, but basically we will celebrate diversity and exchanges in projecting Ghanaian and European movies around the issue of disability. Why is that so? Because it's very important that we reaffirm the fact that the society should be open and inclusive to everyone, even disabled people. There will be showcase about what we are doing on terms of plastic recycling. I will be visiting with my colleagues a plastic recycling unit not far from Accra. We will be showcasing some of our most brilliant young entrepreneurs benefiting from the European program, because this is the future. Future lies in economic growth, innovation, socio-economic inclusion, entrepreneurship. We will be showcasing as well what we are doing in terms of large infrastructure. As you know, we have been part of the Pong Dam since the very beginning. We are part of its modernization, and we are part as well of the one district, one dam program. Even in the northern region of Ghana, we have adopted a few weeks ago a program for agriculture in order to increase the productivity of agriculture, innovation, and job creation for women and youth.
So these are some of the interventions that we've seen. And are we expecting more activities beyond the 2nd to May period? Are there some activities that?
Yes, I think it will be a bit like the year of return. We will do beyond. We will do beyond the week.
Yeah.
We will do beyond the European week. Yeah. We are doing so much together with the Ghanaian government. We cannot just limit for a small showcase for 1 week. I've been with fishermen in the Volta region because we feel very much for the situation of sustainability of fishing industry, artisanal fishing, for example. This is one key area. This is about people. This is about their revenue. This is about their daily life. But we are very much engaged as well when it comes to large infrastructure. I mentioned Pong Dam, mentioning energy, supporting the secondary cities. We are supporting the city of
and education
Kumasi
as well, I guess.
Education is a key component of our engagement. Tertiary education and TVET, because there again we would like to facilitate and create the room for better job access for the youth of Ghana. And we will do special events with the alumni of the Erasmus program. The Erasmus Mundus program is, you know, the international bursary program that we are running. It's a huge program. Several billions of euros are invested into global knowledge, and there are 300 young Ghanaians who went through this program, and I will be delighted to welcome some of them here next week.
And we are all excited about that. I'm interested in TVET as well. The belief is that's one area of our educational system that could unlock the potential of the youth out there. Is the EU willing to partner in some programs that would expand?
Yes, we are already partnering with the Ministry of Employment and Labour, but we have to. So TVET is a key area for intervention of the European Union, precisely because this is a way to unlock the hurdle and the bottleneck for youngsters to access the job market. And as I said, one of the key joint priority area between European Union and Ghana is stimulating growth and job. Sustainable growth and job, and this is what we are doing with TVET. We have very large program already ongoing, but in the years to come as well, we are partnering with several bodies, universities, and the Ministry of Labour of Employment, for example.
Well, so we need to wrap up. Ambassador, what will be your final words to Ghanaians out there?
No, I think it's time for celebration. 60 years of friendship, 65 years of partnership, in a moment where the relations are really picking up between Europe and Ghana, is only reason to celebrate.